Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Android Authority podcast, discussing topics in Android every single week. I'm your host, Joshua Vergara, and if you can hear it in my voice right now, I did get a bit of a cold after the Unpacked event in cold and rainy New York City. So that is kind of what you're hearing right now. But speaking of what you're going to hear, this is our podcast special. And about the audio, the first 10 to 12 minutes were recorded using the new Gear 360 camera, as I used it to record a 180-degree video of us recording the podcast. So you can go to YouTube for the video version of the podcast. However, I forgot to hit record on the podcasting rig. So for the first 10 to 12 minutes, the audio is coming straight from the Gear 360, which I have to say is actually not that bad. And the video quality on it is actually quite good. So keep a lookout for that review in the future and also for more content coming from the Gear 360. As you can probably tell already, this is the Samsung Galaxy S8 podcast special, where we had some guests on for this podcast, where Nirav, myself, and John V were able to talk with three wonderful members of Engadget: Chris Velazco, Cherlynn Low, and Evan Rodgers. Now, the three of them joined us, and we had a long discussion about the event itself and also about the phone, talking a lot about the different features that we enjoyed and if there was anything missing. And then when we thought this podcast was going to be coming to a close, I went ahead and asked one question that I think we kind of have to ask now that we've had a lot of phones come out in 2017. What comes next? What are we excited to see next? And that turned into quite the long discussion as well. So we hope you enjoyed this podcast special about the Samsung Galaxy S8 and beyond. Let's go ahead and get into it. Hope you guys enjoy. Okay, I'm just ballparking it here on this one.
What is happening already?
I do not know, but I think me and Nirave are friends.
Agreed.
Yeah,
And
except
for the record, we're still sober.
Not me.
Thanks.
How much of your beer did you have?
The neck.
Great, the neck. Just the neck.
It took a quarter of a wine glass to get you drunk the last time I saw you.
You weren't supposed to tell people that.
Oh, well. Well, but it was at a bodega. It wasn't like I was being
A
fair.
bodega.
Wait,
That's
a bodega?
what it's called, yeah.
You're not supposed to drink in the bodega.
A
Oh
wine
god, that's right. When
bodega.
you guys went on your wine shopping adventure.
Yes, we did.
After Edgar bought his sweet red coat.
Yes,
Edgar.
exactly.
Oh, yeah.
There, Edgar.
You were there.
I was drunk. So,
At the shop.
are we actually rolling?
Are we recording?
We kind of are. Okay, I have a question to start all this off. How freaking tired is everybody right now?
So tired. Did you guys sleep last night? I didn't sleep.
I didn't either.
I passed out. So.
Did you?
Yeah, you
I can
passed
kind of
out.
tell. I had the impression coming home last night that John B was going to be out like a light for a while.
Well, he had what? Okay, vlogs are on Tech and Tea if you want to see them. Yeah, you had like 2 big-ass slices of pizza to end the night.
I washed down all that alcohol.
He saw Ray's pizza and just ran across the street. He's like, pizza!
Yeah, it probably wasn't enough, I guess.
To be clear, he didn't have 2 slices of pizza. He had one slice of pizza and then shoved the other slice in all of our
In
faces.
all of our faces, yes.
How
So
drunk
not
were
much
you?
big. Oh, I wasn't that drunk.
It was, yeah. It
So
wasn't
that's
that
just the side of you that I don't ever get to see.
bad. Just hangry. He was
I've
hangry.
never seen that either, actually. It was great.
Yes, let's talk about that.
Well, we have a few guests on the podcast. I'll let you guys introduce yourselves. You can start wherever you want.
Please first? Okay, Lee, go ahead.
You took my joke! You took my joke!
But, hey, I'm Chris Velazco, Senior Mobile Editor at Engadget.
Okay, I didn't say titles. I'm kidding.
That's all I have. Don't take this away from me.
That's true. It's very sad.
Continue.
Oh, me now? Oh, hi. I'm Evan Rodgers. I'm the new social manager at Engadget.
It's very boring.
Social, and he's wearing the specs, so you know.
It's basically because he's got very disfigured eyes.
Did you murder the
Oh,
last?
man.
Did you
It's
murder
so
the
true.
last social manager? Is that how it works?
She might be watching this one, so let's not talk about her.
Okay,
'cause-
fair enough.
No. I'm Cherlynn Low, Reviews Editor at Engadget, and I don't like Android Authority. Oh my god, I'm gonna get flamed so hard on your podcast!
They're gonna be like, wow, really?
I
Wow.
take that back. I
Okay.
appreciate you guys.
The one who's always trying to get in the back of my shots on my Instagram, while also trying to not be filmed for a vlog. So, for someone who really wants to get
It's
more
a thin
followers,
line.
you do everything against that credo.
I'm a very conflicted person. That's basically it.
Conflicted, yeah. All right. Well, we got John V over here on the side.
Yes, it's John B.
The Velascos are on. But
My,
you're the
my long lost cousin.
So where in your family tree did the S become a Z?
I'm going to go ahead and say about 6 or 7 generations ago.
Okay.
That sounds
that's
fairly
right.
likely.
Yeah, all right. And then we have a returning host, Nirav.
Hello. That was so creepy. I'm running on no sleep, which is going to be my excuse for everything weird that happened today.
Yeah, I mean, that's going to be the case for all of us. Where we're sitting actually kind of, like...
It has some echo usually.
No. Where we're sitting is like, I'm kind of in awe right now.
All right, so let's lay it out for our dear viewers. So
Yeah.
we're in the AOL office, specifically the part where the Huffington Post works. This room to our left used to be Ariana Huffington's office.
Oh my god.
And we're just kind of crashing in like her chill couch zone right outside the door.
It's the Sir Davos room, is what it is. I can see it from here. That's what it's called.
Oh, Sir Davos. I was like, where is that?
Well,
You've
just
discovered
as
as much about this company as I have in like the 3 years I've been here.
Although, to be fair, of the 3 years you've been here, Velasco, you spent like 15 minutes in the office.
Oh, my favorite part was when we were walking to this area and Velasco's in front of me. Okay, I don't remember. Like, V is in front of me. The Z is in front of me.
Z.
And he's just and he's walking by and he's just like, this is HuffPo. He's just kind of yada-yadaing where we were walking to, and I was like...
Well, I was going to give you guys... I gave you guys the proper tour, I think, last time. Nirav hasn't seen it. I'll take him for a quick little romp in the nap pod.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Just me and you, though, yeah?
I feel like your
Yeah.
brain rouletted and you came out with romp and you had to just go with it.
It's been a day.
Yes, it has. All right, so thank you, by the way, for hosting us here.
Of course.
And we're having a blast already. We've been having a blast for the last couple of days because we've been here for like 3. Well, you live here.
Kinda,
Yeah.
Every now and then I live here. So.
Yeah, he's Joyzy. Is all right.
So you're Jersey.
Well, that's the thing. We're both Velascos. We both work at Best Buy. We both live like
5 miles.
we live like a town away from each other at this point. So there's some kind of weird cosmic energy going on between us.
And you're
right
both
now.
in tech right now, and it's...
Yeah, it's gonna be some weird Vice story about the two of you at some point.
The question is...
Done. Done.
The question is, do you guys still hang out?
We've actually never hung out. If you want the honest truth.
We always try to.
We've tried several times. Last night, where I saw John have a couple drinks, the first time I've ever seen you drink.
Oh, really?
I swear to God.
Wow.
I'll add to that. Every time I see John Velasco at an event, it's very different from seeing Chris Velazco at an event. Like, John Velasco is like a fleeting moment that passes you by all too quickly. It's like you see him, you know he's there, but the next thing you know, he's gone. And Chris Velazco hangs around, like, what's up, Slimes? Like, shall we go for dinner after this? Let's go get karaoke and a movie.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, what kind of life is life without that?
Which we did do a little bit of that karaoke, that is. And,
Which we did not need, by the way.
yeah.
Oh my god.
It was in many ways a pretty bad decision, but also one of the all-time greats.
That was hilarious.
I'm glad I abstained, though. There was just too much to do yesterday.
Fair, but it was a great time though. We just kind of got in there and just dropped the $2 on all the songs, and it just was what it was. Like Chris Velazco over here is the epitome of what I would say a New Yorker is like. When
No. This guy lives in Jersey.
Okay.
No, let me finish.
All right.
He's the epitome of a New
Let's go for
Yorker
this.
who doesn't go anywhere else in New York. He just stays
Oh,
in.
true.
his little-
In fairness, we got a lot of great stuff within like 3 minutes of this office. So I don't feel like I need. Obviously, I'm digging my grave right now. I'm gonna shut up.
Well, here comes the segue then. So how did it feel when you actually had to get out of your bubble, go across town for the Unpacked event?
It was the worst.
No! Lincoln Center is so great.
Lincoln Center is great when you're at an event
It's
that
not that
makes
far.
sense, but nothing about the event today in terms of logistics and where you're supposed to go made a lick of sense.
Yeah, but it's you have to pass Central Park and all the poopy horses. And like,
Oh, yeah,
I don't like
terrible, lousy Central
I
Park.
hate those. What do they call it? Horse-drawn carriages.
Carriages, yeah.
Because you're sitting there and you think it's like this is a very New York thing to do. Then you look down and there's just a bag of poop, just right in front of you, and it's getting filled during your journey. It was the worst.
It's also like
There's
one of
nothing
the-
romantic about it. That's all.
It's also very expensive. They charge you like per minute or something, and
Worse
it's
than a
like
pedicab.
insane. Yeah, it's insane.
Way worse than a pedicab.
But I'll say this: Lincoln Center is not actually that far away. It's not even that high up on the Upper West Side, and it's very pretty. It's got the New York City Ballet around there, and the
It's
whole
easy to get to on a train.
the architecture is gorgeous.
Fair.
But the logistics were really insane this morning.
Well, so yeah, how did you feel about like how the event was put together? I want to hear from everybody on this one because you two sat together. It was me. No. It was me, you, and.
Should we explain what the event was?
Who was I with?
People will know.
Oh, I was with Nikki.
Maybe.
So yeah. So you two sat together, a couple rows behind us, when we lost you because I didn't have my QR code, so I had to find somebody to let me in.
That was the one thing you needed, man. Come on.
Yeah. Even I had that.
You got like 9 emails about it.
No, I didn't. I got one, and it was the "Please be prepared for your invitation code," and it never came.
Yes, the same thing happened to me.
Yeah, see. So.
To be fair, and we chased it up numerous times and tried the invitation code, the unique invitation code, which is the same for everybody.
Basically, yes.
So we have a friend in tech,
and it didn't work.
It didn't work for me at all. The only thing I can think of is that they put my name or my email address incorrectly in the system, and it wasn't happening.
Maybe.
I'm probably like Joshua Viagra.
Right. Oh, it's no my joke.
Oh, it's an old joke in my life. I won't tell you that much. But yeah, like, how did you two first of all feel about the actual event?
High production value, like that's to me it wasn't over the top.
Well, weren't you used to like getting on the balcony for this kind of stuff? We're usually not that close.
That's true. I guess it was just overblown, and I don't know. It just to me it felt very typical Samsung, just over the top.
Well, you know, John and I got to do a lot of bonding. No, I'm joking.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Oh, I wasn't going to tell anybody. No, actually, that was. Do you know what? Compared to most events, that was half the length it should have been. It would have normally been. Yes, there was a lot of repetition, and actually, you know what? It's a complete side thing, but when you're working on not a lot of sleep and you've had a briefing, it is nowhere near as interesting as if you're seeing it for the first time.
Seriously, it's
That's
like,
true. Yeah.
oh, you guys are gonna hate me. That wasn't recording.
I was like, yeah, is it? Okay.
Yeah, all right, it's fine. The audio on that's not bad either, so it's fine. I'll just use that as a. We'll use that as a backup.
Nice.
Anyway, but yeah, the actual event itself, Unpacked, I felt like it was a lot shorter than usual, and thank God.
I don't know. I felt like they really hit the high notes, but they did not do the like typical keynote thing where they're like, let us explain every aspect of like Bixby, for example. Like they hit the high notes, and then they were like, okay, cool.
Stop turning your face away from the mic.
I'm done speaking, actually.
So is this what an office culture looks like? Because we don't have that at all.
Which is like the best part of working here. Like
It is.
We just get to hang out and be dorks. I don't actually know how we get work done, really.
I barely do. Honestly, first of all, this isn't the most quiet office in the world.
No, it's not. Here's the fun fact about AWOL culture that no one knows or really needs to know. Every day at 5:30, someone upstairs decides that they're going to play a song on the loudspeaker for everyone in this company to hear. And
It's like a signal that it's time to go home, guys. It's 5:30.
except no one goes home because we work in New York and we work until like 8 p.m. and then we just like slink home really
What's
depressed.
what's the song that they play?
It's always different.
always different.
Is that Kenny G song that they play in China?
Closing time.
Closing
I think it was
Why did
Closing
you look
Time
at me when you
once.
said China?
I was not trying to look
You
at you.
were
I was looking in
looking at
that
me.
general direction. I wasn't trying to do anything.
Rude.
But Closing Time is good too.
It's always a very B Spotify playlist.
Oh, okay.
I mean, this morning also in the AOL office, we had a string quartet play things like "Sweet Child of Mine" and the Game of Thrones theme song. It was a great way to start the day.
That's pretty awesome, I have to say. Especially the Game of Thrones theme song.
It's so funny that you guys say that this office is loud. When I first got here, I was like, oh no, I'm not going to be able to do social like at all. Because I need to like speak loudly into Periscope or something, and everyone's just going to.
Cherlynn makes a beautiful mic stand, by the way. He almost shoved the mic in his mouth just now.
You guys can't see this, but I'm being force-fed a microphone.
Oh, you know you like it. It's
There's
fine.
two cameras going.
I
Yes.
was going to say though, Evan, for the record, you're sometimes part of the noise contributors in this office ever since you've joined us.
Literal job.
Social, yeah. I don't know. Yeah, that's true.
Office culture, however, is fun. It's nice to see these guys on a daily basis, and it helps bonding a lot. Like, we have so many internal jokes and so many shared experience. Blah.
Yes. All right, so back to the event.
Back to the event.
Back to the event. I mean, we're basically going to try to fill an entire hour, tops. It doesn't have to be an hour, but we just have to fill an hour talking about this phone, this phone, and its Big Brother phone, and you know, Samsung is just, it's an innovation. Unbox your phone, even though there's still a top and bottom. And
There was a phone announced today?
yeah, there was.
Oh.
Somewhere in there.
Oh,
If
sorry.
you look closely enough.
That was the part where I nodded off.
I mean, I like.
It disappeared into the background a little bit.
Yeah,
Because
Oh,
of
yeah.
the bezel-less thing, you know. So.
well, I mean, like these phones disappear into the background, and then you see all of like. Okay, first of all, this is so annoying. Anyway, I'm wearing the LG Watch Sport right now, and the strap keeps undoing itself.
That's on you. That's your fault.
No,
That is not my fault.
Your fault
yeah,
for
he
wearing
knows.
it in the first place.
He knows this thing is just always flipping out. Anyway, I liked that this. Remember? Do you guys remember the Note 7 launch when the screen was on the floor? Also,
Oh yeah.
That was a fun one.
that one was a
It's
good
like a
one. And
visual.
this time it was on the roof, which I thought was pretty cool too. I don't know, just like little visual touches.
Yeah.
You know, I thought it was all right.
I mean, it's a well put together event. Narav, to your point, like, yeah, when you know everything that's going to happen when you go in and, like, fight through the crowds and sit down, like, it is kind of boring, which sounds like almost, it sounds kind of terrible to say. Yeah, exactly. Like, oh, poor me, poor tech blogger, I know everything that's going to happen. But
Is Samsung finally getting to the point now where they now what happened?
Nirab wanted the mic, but V's kind of hogging it.
this is, okay.
He's kind of hogging it. It's
There
very
we
funny.
go. There we go.
Oh, we're sharing.
Because
Oh, wait, we're on camera. Oh, hello.
There you go.
We spent a bit of time together last night. It was over karaoke, granted. Anyway, back to the Samsung. Yeah, you're right. But I will say, this was a bit of fun at the end of it. And everyone seemed to be, like, genuinely cheerful when they started running around the room.
That's
like,
because they
phones
gave-
and
Yeah,
stuff.
360s.
because we got shit.
We
you
got
know?
stuff.
I know,
we were like, free
the
stuff.
That does help.
360s was a genius, like, because nobody was actually popping, like, when everyone was so focused on the stage, no one saw them all come down the side, and then the lights come up, and you see all these people jump up, and you're like, what the hell? Where the hell did you come from?
Can I be the devil's advocate and ask that question here? What are you guys' policy on getting these devices from companies as like this is basically they were giving it to you for free, whatever. Like
Yeah, an event, you know, like you go to Google I/O and you get like a Pixel, and you're like, cool, you know. Well, Pixel as in the
The
Chromebook,
phone.
the Chromebook
Oh.
Pixel,
Screw
back
that
in the
thing.
day. Yeah, I was crew that year.
Yeah.
So I was a second class citizen. Yeah, I couldn't get one. But I mean, you're at an event. You make the way to go over there, and you just kind of get it in the event. It's not like it's. I mean, if they give us that item and it's trash, we will say it.
What is the
Exactly.
procedure though? Like they hand it to you and you like slap it out of their hands. You're like, I have standards. Okay, you get that.
Get
Crap
that corn
outta
out
here.
Get that corn out of my face.
We normally ask, where's the envelope that's going to go with it?
oh,
No, I'm joking.
took me a while to get that one. Sorry.
but it was.
Oh, you got it?
It was a very pleasant surprise because I don't think I've ever been at a Samsung event where they actually gave something like that away.
It's true.
You know?
Although, can I just say the previous Gear 360 wasn't popular at all? Like nobody was really reviewing it, and maybe this is their way.
Well, they
of,
also like the rollout was so limited for a while. Like you could only get it in Korea for a spell, and then they gave it to like YouTubers at whatever their conference is in LA or
And then they
VidCon.
gave it to Casey Neistat.
They gave it to Casey Neistat, obviously. Like for the longest time, they I think rightfully looked at it as an experiment, and it's still kind of an experiment now, but it's in a form that's more palatable to people. So they figured, okay, well, this isn't completely done anyway. But the only real way to get people excited about this stuff is to get them making it. So sure, all right, let's give people some stuff.
All right. Did you think it was a move to make up for like previous transgressions, as I'll say? So
Being very subtle here, Josh.
Yes, I am. Yes, I am. I'm using a Darcy word, transgressions.
Wait, what transgression are you speaking of?
the injury inducing
Oh.
kind.
Oh,
Potentially.
Are we talking about that time those Samsung washing machines like bashed people in the face when they exploded?
It's like, here you go, poof, and just the door comes out and smacks you in the face. No, of course I'm talking about the Note 7, which again is going to come back again for whatever reason. You know?
and they announced it like right before the announcement of the S8 too, that they were going to bring back Note 7s in a refurbished way. I was on Cheddar like right after the event, and this was like the first question they asked me. They're like, "Do you think like this was a PR fail to just announce the refurbishment of the Note 7 right before the S8?" I was like, "I don't think so."
No, because it's not coming out in like the big markets, right?
Exactly.
Well, I'm not going to name anything here, but there was an article I read earlier. It was probably one of the best pieces of journalism ever.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I know this one.
And
I
it,
know what he's talking
Yeah.
about.
you guys know what I'm
I
talking about.
agree, yeah.
And it was, you know, a lot of work had gone into it. All of like 2 lines. I'm not going to go into the publication name because we don't name and shame, but it involved the question that obviously everyone was asking was, are these ones going to blow up? And the intro was 2 lines, and the response was, we don't know. Thanks for reading. Great journalism there. But yeah, you're right. Like, announcing it before was, in my opinion, a bad move, because it after, if you look at US and UK adverts, they've all been Samsung going, quality, innovation is our legacy, quality is assured, or something like that is their tagline. They're going to big extremes to try and prove that this was just a one-off. Yet they brought that entire saga right to the fore just before the launch of their new flagship. Why? There was no need to, especially if it's months away.
And the funny part was, like, I was talking to you, like, for the intro, like, we were going to hear a formal apology. But to me, did he really apologize about it? Or was it just, like, kind of shrugging off, okay, we know what happened, and we're just going to go right into this?
I don't know. I feel like there was a certain... God, am I going to sound racist right now? There's a certain, like very reserved sort of, we understand the mistakes we made, please help us to learn from it, and we just are trying to redeem ourselves type of thing, by DJ
I don't
Ko.
see what was racist about that, but okay.
I made sure not to use the word Korean.
That was wrapped in but we know, but we're brilliant, we innovate. Yeah. And that's fine, because look, as long as it is a one-off, I think, even as bad as it was, it's just to settle something here when you've got, like, non-AAP, because I've said this before on our podcast when it was just us. Guys, phones blow up all the time. Just not that many in that level of frequency, but that serves to go, how many were sold so quickly? Or, and there was a problem, but phones blow up all the time. Come on, like...
And there's so many reasons why it would happen. Like, have you guys ever used a faulty USB-C cable?
No. Yes. I fried my own MacBook, like the USB-C MacBook, with one of those very early USB cables. Yeah.
I actually have a story on that one. Like, I was in the Middle East in December, I think, went to a mall, and because I needed a USB-C cable, bought one of those USB-C cables. I was just like, whatever, I just needed it. Driving back from the mall made it less than 2 miles, and we smelled burning, and it wasn't just a USB-C cable, like, burnt the inside. My brother bought an iPhone cable from the same place, destroyed his iPhone. Jesus. And this was to the point we're driving down a motorway and the thing's lit on fire.
Oh my God. You didn't do it. You didn't plug them into anything. They were just on their own and they lit on fire.
Car chargers.
Oh, well, there you go.
Yeah. I don't know. I think the really interesting thing about the Note 7 is that people. It was like a high end. Like a high. Would you stop? I'm trying to focus. I'm trying to drop salient points on this podcast. Okay?
That was awesome.
Basically, people wanted it. They wanted it. It was like the high end, new, fresh thing. A lot of people didn't even get to get it because it was back ordered a little bit, and then suddenly it was gone and taken out of airports and everything like that. I feel like if Samsung re-released it here with more, like the announcement was very soft of like, hey, these are going to be over here. But if they just came out with them here and they're like, we fixed it actually, again, now that it's been 2 months in, I feel like people would still buy it.
Some people definitely would. Like, our comment section was lit up. I'm sure your guys' were as well. People were not willing to send their phones back. They're like, well, it's okay so far. This is the greatest phone I've ever had. Like, forget about this. I'm going to keep this thing that I've kind of fallen in love with, and I get it.
I am pretty much the same. I kind of staunchly refuse to give it back, and when you've got a Facebook group with like 50,000 people or something, the number's completely off the top of my head, so it might be hopelessly wrong, or it might be right. Who knows? Find out. When you've got a group of people who are just going, we refuse to give it back through high hell or water, yeah, I mean, would I buy a refurbed Note 7? Hell yeah. Samsung, all you got to do is give it a 4-year warranty instead of 2, and make sure you cover the battery for all that time. And I think, honestly, you're good. Like, you will sell a bucket load.
Samsung's still trying to get that nostalgia factor the way they did at MWC, I guess. Yeah. It's just like, hey guys, look, it's still here.
It's my story.
It's not going to blow up in your face again. But I feel like we didn't get enough information as to what they've done to make sure the batteries don't screw up.
But also, what's the reasoning behind it? I mean, they cited like environmental ways and trying to reclaim all of that, but I kind of think it's a money play, obviously. Like,
well, sure, like they've got inventory that would never really moved through the channel in the first place. They figured out what the problem was. They've swapped in batteries. So I don't know the battery specifics. Is it smaller? Or have they changed the size of the cell at all? Like,
They said it's going to be smaller. They said it's going to be smaller. They didn't say what, but I wouldn't be surprised given how close the design is. If now memory serves me, it was what 3,500 in the
Plus, yeah.
Yeah, so they could go to that. They could go down to 3,000 or something. Yeah, it won't be quite so perfect, but it's the Note 7, guys. And I mean, the only choice they have, because the amount of Note people go, well, it doesn't have an S Pen. And if you look at the Tab S3, if you look at the Chromebook Plus, that shows the S Pen is a serious, like, it's a game changer beyond anything else Samsung has to offer. That's their hero game changer. And if they don't offer a Note and they wait till later in the year, that in itself is gonna alienate enough people who are using Note 4s, Note 5s, or if you're in Europe, because I know guys in Europe, Note 4, we're talking 3 years, at which point they lose sales. Flip side for you guys is, if they re-release the Note 7 in a couple of months, what does that mean for the Note 8? Are we waiting? Are they gonna just cannibalize each other? Should you even buy a Note 7 if they stick to their timescales and they're going to release a Note 8 3 months later? That's going to look like the S8.
That's a good question. Because we got that question a couple of times from people at the Unpacked event. Was like, how do you feel? Tell me what you would think the S9 or the Note 8 will be like. We're like, we just got this one. Can we calm down? So I can't even think that far ahead, to be honest. Two S Pen.
I think, yeah, well, for that two-handed drawing, I think that given, Apple's upcoming... I deserve
Wait,
that.
V, you just a little bit closer to, there you go. Yes.
I'm trying to take Josh's instructions. I want you to sound good, Evan, that's why.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, no, so, I mean, obviously, like, one of the questions, again, I was asked at this Cheddar thing was they were like, oh, does Samsung have a lot riding on this announcement? And obviously it does. First of all, without even the Note 7 Fiasco or Velasco, it will already need to prove that it can take on the upcoming anniversary iPhone.
That's a thing.
Yeah, it's a thing.
Okay.
Fiasco is fiasco. Anyway, so I mean, already you need to like have a strong enough phone to ward off whatever the hell Apple may have planned coming up. And then you're coming off of this embarrassing chaos. I wanted to say fiasco again.
Mass destruction.
For your thing, I mean, like, there's so much it has to prove, and then people are still thinking if this is enough to redeem it, or if they're looking to another handset that will solidify Samsung's return to kind of that throne as the Android king.
So does the okay? So that's our segue then. Like, how? Let's talk about the S8 then, and the S8 Plus. The symbol, not the word, but. Yeah, does it stack up? How do you guys feel about this phone? Let's start talking about this phone. Yeah.
I haven't heard from John Velasco in a while.
Pound for pound.
I feel like I should be looking at you more.
You scare me. I think pound for pound, it's the best phone out there. Come on. Well, what other phone has? Well, granted, the LG G6 has finally caught up.
Well, coming from what you're using right now, man, I think anything's good.
Yes, let's talk about my phone. But what other phone has like all the features? Great performance, great quality. Like the biggest thing I thought they made was the Samsung DeX. But again, people who've been here for a long time, we've seen that before. Continuum, and if we go far back, you had like Motorola, the Atrix. They established that type of feature. But to me, right now, this is the pound for pound best phone out there, and two varieties, of course. Beautiful design, that infinity display. So
I still don't like that name.
It's
Infinity display.
Edge was great already. Like, what was so bad about Edge? It's still called the Edge UX.
It doesn't give you the sense of how it takes over the front of the phone. I think that's what they're saying.
It's just marketing gimmicks.
It is also marketing.
Well, yeah, everything
This
is marketing. Yeah, like
four-dimensional marketing chess
A
that
black-
we're talking about now.
yeah.
Everything needs a name because why not?
Well, I want a screen. How about that? So wait, what was that one? Oh, Dex. This phone is everyone just sort of stopping short of actually saying that this phone can power Windows 10?
well,
There's virtualizations, so
Yes.
it can.
But that's still.
But it doesn't-
That's a big deal.
But no, but it's not using the processor on board. It's basically
It's
a stream.
emulating, yeah,
Cloud
it's
emulation.
cloud-based.
Yeah.
Oh.
But-
Wait,
Okay.
hold on. It's thin clienting Windows.
Why Why you gotta be so extra?
Like,
Why you gotta be so
Thanks.
extra? Why do you gotta be so extra saying extra?
Hold on. Are we talking about like some like PS4 game streaming type?
Yeah,
like,
so
visual
it's
streaming?
in cloud, the OS basically,
The Samsung
and then you're
Cloud,
just
yeah.
tapping
You're
into
claiming
that.
that I'm extra, but they're sending the frames of a Windows machine into your phone into a desktop.
They're
okay?
NVIDIA-ing.
Okay.
But guys,
To
like,
be fair, they've been doing this forever. Like virtualization isn't a new concept.
Yeah,
No,
it's
no,
been
no,
around.
yeah.
Yeah.
Not at all.
So it. Go ahead.
What do you call the endpoint?
What do you mean?
It's a thin client.
the thing we're probably missing out here is the fact that, yeah, even though it's cloud-based, it still takes a fair bit of power to put that together.
That thing's gonna get hot.
That's why
That
there's a
thing's
fan
going
in
to get
there.
hot. But
thing's gonna get
especially
hot.
as
It's
the
gonna
Dex,
explode. No.
the
Okay.
Dex stand is a charger as well, which is going to add to the natural heat on the phone.
Yeah.
It has a fan on it, but we don't know how much it'll help. The Dex itself has a fan on the back.
Is that going to
I
help
don't know.
dissipate heat from the phone? Because let's be honest, since the S6 and the S7, they do get a little bit hot.
Does anyone want to Dex though? Does anyone want a desktop
That's the
experience?
question. That's the
God,
question.
No, like, there's a reason these products. There's a reason the Atrix. There's a reason Continuum to some extent. There's a reason Ubuntu convergence
You
is
stop
what,
right there.
Like there's
You
a reason
Don't talk about
these
Ubuntu.
things don't work. Like people, I've never met a single person who has looked at a Lumia 950 or an Atrix even back in the day and said, "Oh yeah, this is something that really will improve my life." That's never been a thing.
The idea is interesting, and it took me a while to get to the being critical of it, but I realized that like no one who has a desktop setup like that's built for wants to stick a phone in it. Someone who has those things probably already has at least a mini PC there sitting with proper power.
Do you think that, like some people have said that it's really advantageous for somebody to have, like in developing markets where the phone is their personal computer, like for most parts? Like
That's basically it. This is not, going to what you said, Cherlynn, this is not for someone who's got a desktop computer. This is for people in developing markets where you might work in an office which is pure hot desking, and you don't need a lot of power. You just need a web browser. You just need some of the basic stuff, and your phone is your life. Like if you're a farmer or whatever, you can only afford to buy one piece of kit. If you can buy an S8 that can then has enough power to allow you to do things like Word, Office, and PowerPoint, those are impressive because, let's be fair, Windows 10 Mobile and Continuum pretty much sucks with that.
Yeah, but I'm sorry, I have to bring this part up. Like the disparity of that just sort of irks me because if you have the money to pay for a potentially $900 phone and a $500 deck. Is that the term we're going to use? That's like 4 desktop computers that are good
Is that
enough
how
for
much
what
it
they're going to
costs?
do.
We don't know how much
We
the
don't know
Dex
yet. We
will
don't know
cost
yet.
yet.
Oh
I'm
my
spitballing.
gosh,
The
okay.
rumor is like 150.
Okay, well, I'm being
But
cynical.
But to your point, like to look at Dex as a value play for developing markets, like sure, I get the rationale, but like the economy doesn't work out in that scale. Like you're better off carrying around like a Huawei and some kind of like a compute
Like a
stick
stream
or
or-
something.
yeah.
It's
you know?
like the La Eco bike. I hate to bring up a whole different company right now, but like it's like the La Eco bike. When they told me that was a bike not made for the U.S. at least yet, and it's a very expensive bike. I don't remember the price, but it's very expensive. I'm like, I know people in China, they can't afford this bike. Like, who is this for? Like, that's the question.
Well, who do you know in China that can't afford it? Depends, right? Because China has this huge like population of people who are extremely rich and will buy that kind of gear.
Well, I guess it's like it was less a question of can I afford it, and more like I don't want to afford it.
Right.
Like I don't want to buy that. That's a lot of money.
You
know?
think it's throwing money that you shouldn't be throwing, but there are people that have too much money.
Yeah.
And in India, or at least
They should
in
just
India
buy a
and
Dex.
other developing markets, let's take on the other part of it. People, even if they can't afford it, and this applies to markets all over the world, will find a way. For this fact of the status symbol of having the latest product, especially in India, I know this much,
100%.
and other markets, it's not about the cost of everything together. Even if it means they eat less, they will find a way to do it for all the social benefits.
Yeah.
So if you're going to buy an S8 and you're one of those people, it's not a case of, oh, I should buy a Huawei. It's, I'm going to buy an S8, but now I can spend a little bit more as well, get Dex, and then I've got that set up there. And I mean, don't forget, when Dex, we're still talking, you've still got to get your keyboard, your
Exactly.
mouse, you can monitor. It's probably will be a $500 setup as a minimum. But if you've invested in an S8, they're like, well, if my phone can do all of this and I can pick it up and go, then fine. In reality, though, Dex is, I hate to say it because it's honestly it's fabulous because it looks great, but Dex is going to go, I love it and I'd buy one, but I'm a geek and I spend money on stuff I never should. And so do we all. Let's be honest.
Yeah, no, that's very true, and it's a reality that's around everywhere. It's just I don't know. Like I'm thinking about the logistics of it all, and it just kind of makes me feel uneasy, you know, because that practicality aside, you know, that's basically the term I would use there. Practicality aside. So, okay, well. One thing that I wanted to figure out, did any of you guys get the info on this? Is Dex only using Samsung apps, or is a full version of Android, like Android apps, I should say?
So
full version of Android apps.
runs a version of Android Nougat that's tweaked and only is compatible in certain ways, like resizable windows and stuff like that. Only compatible with like a handful of apps at launch, but they're working obviously to get that compatible with more titles, right? So you have currently Microsoft Word, PowerPoint, and whatever support keyboard shortcuts, support resizable windows. You can tile them side by side, as well as Adobe Lightroom and Photoshop Express.
Very specific thing. Like
they thought of the whole desktop multitasking experience.
But do you think that will happen with additional, like, do you think more software will?
If the demand is there, but you already have solutions like Remix OS and even the Lenovo Link, which what the hell happened to that thing, that had full Android app support out of the box, you know? So what's stopping this from having that capability?
It's still it will still run Android apps, but in the vertical phone screen on the desktop too.
I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is what you've got, and the thing with Remix OS, Link, even Windows 10 Mobile, they're not a Galaxy product. There's going to be enough people with the S8 that Samsung has more of a chance of shipping this, of making this idea of a phone being a personal computer and this docking station. If anyone's going to do it, and I hate to say this, but it's going to be the only people who've got the brand power and sales figures to do it are Samsung or Apple. Samsung's taken the first bet, and if they can't make Dex a thing with the S8, expect it to basically be dead. No one's going to try that form factor because so far it's small companies. Now, I'm sure the company's done its research and has gone, okay, you know, there must be a reason for it. We'll never find out that research. Or, you know, then maybe they're going, like companies do, let's see what happens. But this is going to basically decide whether your phone will ever be a PC. Because if Dex goes well, expect everyone to suddenly do it. And before you know it, like curved screens, it will become something that's just the norm for us.
I like that you brought up Samsung and Apple. Just to double back a little bit to the show itself. When was the last time you heard that much cheering at a Samsung event?
I mean, like, I secretly suspect that all of the Samsung events we go to are just packed with shills.
Yeah.
True, but this felt like...
This felt
a little bit more than that, you know?
Yeah.
It was almost Stockholm Syndrome type, you know? Like,
This felt
Like
genuine.
a sense of relief, almost.
You think it felt genuine?
A lot of it from the cheering, because if you look at who was allowed upstairs, in that area was mostly media.
Yeah.
And then it was in the balcony areas where there were like people with the orange name tag had to go up another floor where they're not getting the Gear 360s. And a lot of that cheering was before we were given the Gear 360. So there wasn't and no one was expecting a free thing in that aspect. So it felt genuine because I couldn't tell you why. At least I was cheering for a bit because actually, on the face of it, it's like, wow, Samsung has made enough changes that this isn't... If they'd have gone with a similar design to the S7, it'd have been like, where's the innovation? And this felt like they have innovated in some ways, even if they maybe have innovated based on ideas they've seen elsewhere.
No, what's your favorite thing about the S8? I don't see how it's innovated other than putting a very strange aspect ratio on the screen.
I gotta agree with that.
That's enough. For most,
That's it for you guys?
Like, they didn't talk about the camera. You know, all these phones are going with a dual camera configuration, and the S8 still has a single one. Though they do tout the low light performance, but it's like what's differentiating this camera from last year's model? New sensor, obviously, but that's about it. Battery, okay, you have wireless charging. There's nothing faster charging.
What else could they have done? And this is the interesting thing. Well, at least for me, it's the interesting thing. They've reached a point where their phones. Look at the Note 7. Excuse me. Look at the Note 7. We all agree it was near damn perfect. What can you do to that? Other than the only thing they could have got rid of was the bezels. That was the one big complaint people still had. They're like, okay, people are going bezel-less. When are you going to do something? They've done that. And I sound like a fanboy here, but I'm not trying to be. But as much as the the display is what you'd call the innovation, if you will. It's weird, but I don't know if you guys felt this. I've walked into Samsung events and gone before, like, woo, brilliant afterwards. This felt like, okay, this is a really good phone. Why do I feel like something's missing? And I honestly still like, as much as I like it, and I'm probably going to use one, because the likes of LG have stepped up so much with the G6, they've not set a standard, but they've come so close that I think people may have expected even more from Samsung. That being said, to put a 6.2-inch screen inside a body that small, to make it manageable, who remembers the Galaxy Megas? Imagine, like, they've taken the same screen size and made it into an S7 Edge or a Note 7.
Well, I want to hear from you guys. This same question. How do you guys feel?
I did not expect this going into it, even being briefed as we were, but Bixby feels kind of like a game changer. Like
I was going to move into that.
I cannot remember the last time I saw a virtual assistant feel this complete right out of the box.
Yeah, because the ecosystem is so, I'm not going to say closed, but it's a bit insulated. You know, it's a bit insular, right? So, of course, they have the ability to create an assistant that works with everything in their own ecosystem. So, I don't know.
Well, so here's what I'll say to that. Siri works. Google Assistant works. Bixby works on that same conversational level, but Vision, I think, is frankly brilliant. We've seen companies like Amazon try it with, what was it, Firefly in the Fire Phone, which was trash. But other than that, it was a great idea. Like, you guys were saying that Samsung has basically not innovated so much as refined stuff that other people has worked on, and that's fine, but there's value in that. Like, it's very much the Apple approach, right? Like, other people will do it. If you get to the gate and you do it better, I mean, that's the game, man.
You really think Apple's refining? I'm not even going to bring that up.
The thing, just touching on what Chris said, the reason Bixby feels, and you know what, now you say it, I completely agree. The reason Bixby feels that way is because Samsung's done what everybody should do. They've tapped into partners. Look at the way the wine thing works so brilliantly is because they're partnered with Vivino. They're doing all this searching and getting all the data. Google could have done that with Vision, could have done a Vision thing and just used Google search. You could have put something up and it has the internet, but it missed that element. And now if they do it, it won't be Google did it. They'll be like, oh, they're just doing what it's already out there.
How about you two? How do you guys feel?
Headphone jack.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Headphone jack.
I pointed that out too. Yes.
So
I think we all in our video said that.
Yes.
Thank goodness it's still there. Yeah.
Thank God.
but for real though, like if you basically the S8 kind of cuts through every excuse every other manufacturer has used to remove the headphone jack. It's like, oh well, it takes up too much space. Samsung is like, yo, no bezels. It's waterproof. Oh, yo, it's waterproof. There's like literally no reason, and it's thin. It feels great. The build quality is very high, and they maintained the water resistant aspect of it. And like, headphone jack, guys.
No information on a secondary DAC or amp in there, though, right?
No, and if that was in there, they would have mentioned it.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Like, LG has been playing that high-end audio game for so long now. If Samsung had that card, they would have played it.
Yeah.
I will say this, I appreciate that Samsung was able to squeeze such large screens into such tiny bodies. It felt amazing to hold. It was like the best smartphone I've held forever. But I can't really call Bixby a full system yet because we haven't been able to see it in action. Even on our hands-on, the voice part of it wasn't working. I don't know about for you guys. During our briefing,
they had it off.
They just didn't let us demo the voice-activated part of it. So I like that you have a dedicated heart button to summon Bixby. It's nice. Vision is a cool new tool. when we used it, I wonder about its limits, but I like the live translation thing. That is definitely something that's going to be helpful.
It's very important.
I just don't know. I mean, I think all around it's a well thought out phone. It just doesn't excite me.
I had a moment with Bixby when I was at our pre-briefing where I thought it was a little bit I had this moment of, did Bixby just figure me out like just now? Because when I hit the button and it went to the screen because the voice part was off, I scrolled down that contextual list of stories and calendar entries and stuff. And first of all, I saw your butt because
I took pictures of it. I took pictures of it. You had me to thank
you
for
got that phone?
Yeah, I got that phone.
Oh God, Cherlynn, what the hell?
So sorry. I took one and I sent it to him too.
You were lying like belly
Yep.
down. Yeah, trying to get a picture of it in the water.
That's shots, man.
Here, I'll
That's
show
in the
you.
hands-on video, right?
briefly, yes. The moment I point at it is when it cuts away. But then right below that, or maybe a couple area, yes, that one right there. Right below that area was a news story from the Wrestling Report. Because as our viewers and listeners know, I'm a wrestling fan, and then it showed the Bobby Roode like he's champion in NXT, and I was like, why does this phone have a wrestling thing when it's the phone I'm using? And I got a little scared for a second there. I was like, maybe Bixby is all it's cracked up to be.
Do you think you'll use that page? That page is called the Bixby Home, if I'm not wrong.
Hello Bixby.
Or Hello Bixby,
Yeah,
and then
or
it's
whatever.
their home thing, whatever.
I will use it if it is actually useful, and the only way it's going to be useful is if I get better at calendaring, because I'm terrible at it, and I would love to have the events show up there. You know, the whole Uber thing, I mean, I got the app open anyway. Why do I need it at the top of Bixby? Like, they think we're going to be spending all our time at Bixby, you know? Pull up a chair, have a drink. You know, like, I'm not going to do that.
And I'm sorry to just keep hogging this, but Bixby gives me a lot of questions. Also,
You don't
would
like the
you...
name either, do you?
I don't know. I think V pointed out a very cool thing, a very astute observation that it sounds like a British butler that's just waiting there for you. But there's nothing wrong with that. I don't really mind. Bixby is an interesting name.
Why are you looking at me when you say British butler?
I was looking at V.
Oh, okay, sorry.
I may be a bit cross-eyed, but okay. Don't mind the name. Don't mind the name at all.
You said it. I'm kidding.
I mean, I am. Let's be real. I don't mind the name. I just don't know that I would use it over Assistant. And and wouldn't they offer both of it?
It does.
So
Google
it's-
Assistant is on the S8.
So you know the Bixby Home? There's only one way I'm going to use it. And if I was to get into the smart things ecosystem, the ability to look inside your fridge solves that one question that everybody has almost every single day. And I know this because I've lived with people who've sent me messages going,
Do I
can
have
you
cheese?"
check if I have any milk?
Oh, yeah.
Because imagine being on your way home, going to the shops, where your shopping list is decided live based on what's in your fridge.
You can do that without Bixby with just the fridge. And you would need the fridge anyway to get that.
Or maybe you should look in your fridge before you go shopping, damn it.
Or install a camera in your fridge.
Well, okay, but we're going to some next level of... Who puts a camera in their fridge? I know you can do it with the fridge and you can do that. But if you are using Bixby for anything else and it's integrated, then fine.
Voice on a system level command layer. Does that excite you at all? Turn brightness to 100.
Hell yes.
Really?
Hell yeah, man.
So all the demos about that were very exciting. I was like, I'm sorry, but like because we didn't get to test it, I was not happy, but it was so
It's
promising.
the same amount of time to swipe down and slider.
If once you use things like hue lighting with Alexa, you've just suddenly got
Then
the
show
power
me
of that.
Don't show me
but you've got the power
screen
of that
brightness.
on your phone going, hey, turn my screen, like, because I'm tired of, like most phones, you're tired of having to try and hit a certain percentage, or you go, you know, it is easy enough to go, Bixby, turn my brightness down to 20%. It takes several seconds, well, a couple of seconds, whereas swiping, you're like, okay, is this going to be enough? And then, you know, auto. It's just easier. And the thing about Bixby is it actually feels like, unlike S-Voice, unlike Siri, and even unlike Assistant, that system level integration is what finally makes voice useful on your phone, is when you can do things like that, because I've wanted to do things like that for ages.
Well, I want to get your thoughts on Bixby in a second, but I did want to say one thing. I will admit, I'm the kind of user that unless I experience the use case myself, I'm going to be a total skeptic. I did not believe in cloud pay, not cloud, but like wireless pay services or contactless pay services until I went to the UK and a couple weeks ago, and I used the Huawei watch to pay for everything. In the UK,
no, Android.
Android Pay, Android Pay in my case. And so, yeah, you're probably right. This is just me being kind of ornery in a way, and I'm just like, yeah, why would I want to be hey, Bixby, do this
just
thing?
Think
And
about it,
I'm like,
man.
you
Just
know?
think about it. You're in your bed. You're all the way under your covers. You're just like, you're expending like 2 calories. You're not moving, but you could be like, lower the brightness. Just lower the brightness.
Well, you could
Rewind
you could go a step
2
further
seconds.
and go, turn on Do Not Disturb for the next several hours. Don't show me notifications. Block all calls. The power, if you have the ability to do, if Bixby can finally tap into what Touch is really good for, which is this huge amount of options and customization. Like, we're talking old school Windows mobile level of ability to customize.
Yes.
Finally, you might actually be able to just literally do anything on your phone. Going back to what you said earlier, though, we don't know.
Exactly.
And that's, I think, going to be the core part of every single review is Bixby the game changer that the Galaxy S8 needs?
All right, John, I feel really bad because you're like to my right and everyone else is over here. So I'm like,
I'm a skeptic. I'm not really the type of person to use voice services on my phones. I'm just, the only time I'll say I'll use it is when you're driving and you want to quickly reply to a text. But like what you said, like just being able to reduce the brightness, like to me, it's like, okay, let me just do it myself. I don't know. I've never really been into the voice services stuff, so I'm still in that regard. I'm still kind of skeptic of what it could do. I could see, integration for smart home devices.
I agree with that.
Absolutely, but I don't know. Like, to me, it still hasn't gone to that level where I rely on it day in, day out. To me, it's still.
I thought I was going to do the whole, okay, Google. Okay, no one's got it on. I was going to do the whole, okay, Google, give me my daily briefing in the first thing in the morning. And I thought that was great. It goes straight to NPR and I get to hear a news story. That's great. And if Bixby's able to do that, then I will maybe use it. But Google Assistant does it already for me. Adding an event to my calendar, Google Assistant does it already. So
I think Bixby's usefulness, in addition to system settings, also comes down to how well it integrates smart home stuff and how much you've bought into Samsung's ecosystem. If you have, like you have with Apple or something, then yes, it's going to be extremely useful for you. But Google Assistant or even Alexa may have the better smart home automation side.
So it's not just, sorry to cut you off there, it's not just Samsung stuff though. It's anything smart things.
Right, that's true.
Which is
Even
a big
more.
thing there because there's a lot more than just Samsung in the smart things ecosystem, which is a good move. Just to go to John for a second, your use case there was perfect when you're driving. But at least in the UK, I'm not allowed to touch my phone when I'm driving. If it's over there and I get caught touching it, they've literally just changed it where it's 6 points. And if I did that twice in 5 years, I've lost my license. But now being able to go with that wireless, go Bixby, because it's, especially when it suddenly flips from bright to dark and the auto brightness isn't great, it can be blinding when you're trying to focus on a dark road and you've got a bright screen and you're trying to fiddle. Just go, and it's easier to just keep focusing on the road and go, Bixby, just turn the brightness down to 20%. Because all of a sudden that gets rid of that nature, and it may prevent the odd accident where you're not being blind. It's a really random use case, but it is, I think, going back to what Josh said, it's going to be very much about the options are there, but how you use it and what it translates and the usefulness translates to you is going to be very much about when you're likely to use voice services or things it does that actually can improve the way you use your phone in your current way.
I have Android Auto, so I don't even look at my phone at all. Which is another thing. Like, does Bixby just prove to be a redundancy? And what were you going to say a second ago?
I forgot. It's okay.
You talk too much, Nirave. I'm kidding. You're fine.
And well, Bixby is kind of the main thing. We could gush all we want about how these screens are fit onto very nicely fitting. It's 8 o'clock.
Yeah. And you're kind of drunk.
Not really. It's just one fat tire.
Let's
All of you.
This podcast brought to you by Fat Tire.
One thing. On-screen keys, finally. What does everyone think? And
the missing physical home button and the weird fingerprint sensor.
And the fingerprint sensor, the home button under the the display and stuff.
Which is not really a home.
No.
Like it's not a home button. It's not.
So wait, I was like trying to fight the internet while that was happening, like trying to actually connect to the internet while the home button announcement was made. Can someone just explain like what that was?
I want to hear how you explain it.
So basically, yeah, they've migrated into on-screen keys, which has obviously been a thing for Android devices for a really long time. The difference here is you've got a strip at the bottom of the screen that is pressure sensitive, and it's not even the left and the right. It's not even the quote capacitive like recent and back keys. Like it's just the home button. So you could be full screening an app, you could be reading Engadget or Android Authority or watching a video or whatever. That home button is always there for you. I think the tricky part is just kind of moving past the limitation and realizing, yeah, it's like I can't see it, but it's there, and just like being okay with pressing that. Like it's odd.
It's too minuscule to actually be effective. Is my main point, because even if it's there when you're looking at a home screen app, again, my whole use case scenario argument: you swipe and there's the nav bar.
Can you
so
turn the
what's
phone
the
on?
point?
Sorry?
Can you turn the phone on from like a lock?
Can you wake it up?
Yeah. Can
The
you wake
lock
it?
screen, if you have it set without any security measures, is what I'm going to say, then there will be a small square on the bottom that you can just push, and that will unlock the screen.
Tight.
Like that's kind of cool, but it's not an always there thing. It's a very specific use case for a pressure sensitive area. You know, I agree with the full screen applications. You could probably like press there and all that, but you do that and you end up copying something.
Did you feel good about the, like, very briefly they mentioned that like it's going to feel like a home button, and so like Apple's using the like very advanced like linear actuator to make it feel like it's something like it's a physical button. Like, does Samsung meet that?
Yeah,
quality?
I mean, if you're cool with this sort of bizarre solid state home button on an iPhone 7 or 7 Plus, same feeling.
That's awesome.
You'll get the little pulse, and that's it.
But doesn't the iPhone 7 also have kind of a ring demarcated around it, sort of still?
Yeah, for the Touch ID
You
sensor.
can still kind of feel where,
Right.
Feel where it is.
Right. But I mean, I don't know. It's just, to me, like, if you're using an Android device, after a while, instinctually, if you're using on-screen keys, to go home, you're going to hit the center of the bottom of part of that screen. Like, that becomes a reflex. The only difference now is that instead of hitting a software key, you've got like a little touch actuator. Like, for me, there is functionally no difference in day-to-day use.
Agree completely. No, I seem to agree with everything Chris says. No, I don't actually. But no, in this case, it felt natural. I like the, I use an iPhone 7 Plus. It's fine. It's the don't ooh me. We have a sister site. That's my standard excuse. It works. I do Apple stuff. It's fine.
What's the name of this podcast?
Android Tab Times Authority. Anyway, moving on. I also have a G6. Don't worry, but it's fine. That home button on the iPhone is, it's cool. It works all the time apart from when it's off, and it just feels weird. Yeah. This one doesn't. To explain what the home button feels like, the only thing I can see says it's like having a little gap. It literally feels like you've got a little hole in the screen where you're just pressing down, even though you can't see it, just under the display. That's how you were going to see it. It will take you barely seconds to get used to it, because actually it doesn't feel that weird. It feels almost natural placement. Like, and I'm with you, like, when you think home, even on home buttons on any single phone, they're always front and center, beneath the screen, or in the middle, and you can't ever, even on customizable things, you don't really change that. Apart from maybe if you get Huawei and you're adding 4 or 5 different buttons, it might be a little bit further along. So the positioning right under a screen feels natural, and once you get used to it, you'll be just hitting that to go back to different apps and things.
I feel like you and I are going to feel similarly about this.
Again, you could just use the regular
Yeah,
on
yeah,
screen.
right.
Like, it's like the whole thing with Bixby.
Yeah.
So it's like,
That's my main thing is I'm going to make the effort to actually like press on an area where normally if I was going to do that on a site like Engadget or Android Authority, I would be my mind would be going to, I want to copy text, So I keep thinking to myself like that disconnect is a little bit too much for me, and I understand it's there, it's cool, it's nice to have on the lock screen, but for any other case, it's like the nav bar is there, and I went through all the trouble to make the nav bar green. I'm going to use the nav bar because Samsung put customization in, which I think was a brilliant move. If they were going to take away a physical home button, they needed to make the nav bar appealing. And 2 things happened there that I think were brilliant. Customizable background color and you can put the back button in the other place, which I think is great. So no one ever has to like feel weird going from a Samsung to a different phone.
Did they? Because I never actually checked out the nav bar customization. Did they give you the extra buttons that you're on other phones? Like,
I can't guarantee what the buttons are, but I'm sure there is like
because
an option.
if
for that.
you're gonna go
at
with
least a
that,
fourth.
I know some people don't agree with me, and I really don't care, to be honest. But for most phones, I don't want to stretch to the top. One of the things I've got to say that the iPhone does really well, which is the I forget the name of it, where you can literally double tap it, half the screen, you're just swiping down a little bit.
So it's
Reachability. On my G6 and just about any phone that has customizable on screen, the first thing I do is add the nav bar. So I haven't got to reach the bottom, I'm just tapping at the bottom, nav bar pops down, I can interact from there. With the size of an S8, specifically the S8 Plus and a 6.2 inch, that's a reach for anybody. You are going to have to shuffle your phone down to get to the top. And as soon as you start shuffling a phone down in your hand, your risk of kind of breaking it has gone up by like 5 million%. And I know that I've broken it enough
You know what
times.
could help you with your reach problem?
Pop Pocket. And this week's episode is brought to you by
Pop sockets.
Pop Sockets.
One
even.
day. It's my every episode so far mentioning pop sockets.
But I mean, I actually did not get a chance to look at this very much. Do they still call it TouchWiz? Is it still that?
Yeah.
Okay.
They don't use the word TouchWiz,
But
and
like-
they avoid it. But I mean, that's what everyone knows it as. Like the interface will forever be TouchWiz unless they specifically say it's something else.
Didn't you say it was called something else? Grace. That's the one.
Is that what they've changed it to?
That was you, right?
No, that wasn't me, no.
Oh, that was Lon, I guess. Lon was saying like I think they call it Grace since the Note 7.
Because they bought out Grace as an on-screen, the lock screen replacement. Because I remember Chris doing a video on this, and I think they went to unofficially say Grace UX from the Note 7, but everywhere you look, it's still going to be called TouchWiz. So until they go, this is running the all-new, the all-new Grace UX. It's always going to be TouchWiz, and even then, it's probably going to be that.
Just go for the middle path and say Samsung UI. Why not? So,
But did you like it?
do I like it?
Yeah. They for 2 seconds?
cleaner.
For 2 seconds, they were like, and new icons. But I mean, it's more than that, though. I could see at least through the interface.
No
that it's more
more
than that.
no more app drawer button. You gotta swipe up, and that's fine. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm just saying you swipe up.
I was so confused, but then I realized it was a Nougat Pixel thing, so I was like, oh,
It
well.
felt natural. For some bizarre reason, I hate not having a button there.
I can totally.
But
I'm
swiping
expecting
up feels
tweets right
great.
now of people saying Nirave just loves everything
Yeah.
Samsung,
Yeah.
all the fucking thing.
In case you do say that, I am still somewhat critical.
Yeah.
And I'm critical because we've spent maybe an hour with it tops. So right
And you
now
have this much to say about it.
Well, yeah, but right now it might be gushing. But I will say that I use a G6, and as I said at the very beginning, I stick by the fact that there's a lot about it.
Yeah.
But I'm with you, Cherlynn. Something feels missing, and I don't know what it is. And I personally
it's
think
this extra black dot on the back of my G6.
that's it. The lack of the rumors were dual camera.
Yeah.
They decided to go single camera. That's fine, and I'm not going to say anything because I did a little bit of looking at the camera. And I'm not going to base any judgments on that. So I'm not going into it. But then the fingerprint sensor almost feels redundantly useless in this position. Like when you've got to stretch to use and I can barely get it on an S8. People are saying S8 Plus, and I'm like, do you just never want to use a fingerprint sensor? Is that just some big square on the back of your phone? Because if you have an S8 Plus, you're going to start shuffling the phone down your thing to get to the fingerprint sensor. And like I go back to what I said a minute ago, the minute you start doing that, you best be having a case and other stuff on that because it's going to fall.
Iris detection.
Yeah, that's why we
that's
use
why they
the iris
highlighted
stuff.
that so much. Yeah.
Yeah, use
That's
your
why.
eyes.
But I agree with you. I forgot what you said.
Iris detection. Let's see how good it is with the. Let's see how good it is with glasses because the Note 7 sucked. When I have glasses on, unless they're perfectly clean glasses, and whatever reason, if there's a little bit of light coming off your phone, good luck. And that's the thing. Unless they've made it so, I would often have to go. I don't know if it's still recording, but if you can't, I'm literally looking down and trying to look. My glasses would go down my nose, and I'm looking over my glasses so I can see my eyes. it's easier just to press a home button.
Oh, I remember what I wanted to say. So I think the reason.
Thank you for saying that, but
I agree, but also they don't need to do the dual camera because a lot of what dual cameras are doing these days, doing that bokeh thing, which Samsung actually did way earlier than most people did with that all focus, selective focus feature. They could have gone with the G6's iteration, which is the wide angle lens, but I don't know that Samsung wants to do that and should do that. What they already have as a camera is pretty good. It's pretty powerful. They kind of nailed it with the S7, and I don't think they know how to innovate beyond that.
It fell short of the DxOMark accolade that the Pixel got. So there's definitely something they have to fix there. And to be part of the upper echelon of, you know, the Samsung and Apple comparisons and whatnot, you know, LG has actually sort of one up them in that way because, you know, now they are on par with Apple with this dual lens system. So I don't think that it really makes Samsung like that far back behind the pack, but it is something to keep in mind.
V, what do you think I'm about to say?
You can talk about some selfies.
Sort of. I'm gonna be like the Huawei P10 though.
Yeah, but
like
that's not choice. That is enhancing what one sensor can do. Like to me, it's choice.
Huawei P10, but I also just want to like get in there and be like, we could also have a telephoto lens. Just like, hey, Android manufacturers, like, I know Apple's got that, so you're afraid, but like, I want that.
Yeah.
Well, that's what made. Do you guys remember this Meizu thing from Mobile World Congress, where they built the sort of periscope-inspired lens where the telephoto is horizontal inside the body? Like, let's get that somewhere. Like, Meizu was developed. In fairness, they licensed it from an Israeli company called Core Photonics. So, like, they did some of the work, but let's get some of that going, right? Like, wide angle's fine, but let me get this really proper, like 5 times lossless zoom. Like, that's what I desire. That's what I need.
And I think that what Cherlynn said is really true. With they kind of have a thing, and they want to occupy. Like, we are good at one thing. Like the G6, it uses some older sensors, but they've given you like a lot of versatility in the whole package of the phone. And I think Samsung similarly is like, let's focus on doing one thing well.
The
G6
would have been perfect if you could focus peak while recording. That's all was missing. That's all that was missing.
It is like the perfect video camera.
Yeah, it is.
For us.
It is an amazing vlogging camera. It is amazing for that.
So, I'm sorry. You bring up the G6, and this is an interesting thing because at least this is how you know from previous years and kind of where we're at now. In previous years, it was always a case of LG would do something, and Samsung was always guaranteed 100% to top it. This year, LG stepped up a fair bit. I mean, well, anything was a step up from the G5. Let's be honest. I've said it directly. I'd give that a -1 out of 10. Like, give me more than my money back if you bought that. Okay. I don't like it in the slightest. But the G6 really stepped the game up to be like, there's nothing wrong with it. Do you see? There's not, at least in my opinion. But you know, in previous years, the gap between Samsung and LG was quite large. This year, it feels a lot closer than it's ever been before.
John?
For me, like, you say the LG G6 is great, but to me, they just matched what Samsung did with the S7 last year. Wireless charging, waterproofing, like, those were standard features you expected with the S7, and they just reached that. The only thing different, I'll say, that they did was, of course, the 18:9 aspect ratio. That's new, and I think they took that away a little bit from Samsung. Because we haven't seen it before. And the other thing, of course, the wide-angle camera. But so it's a great phone, but to me, it still feels like an S7 at the end of the day.
Well, you mentioned a second ago that you think that the S8 is the top phone, but I've heard a lot of caveats from you during our I feel like they're like 4 asterisks too.
So overall, like I don't know if you guys use like wireless charging, if you use Samsung Pay, if you use mobile payments. Like, I religiously use Samsung Pay all the time, whenever I can. And now that they have a rewards system with that, it's like more of an incentive to actually keep on using it. Who else has that? You have Android Pay, that's great, but for those situations where they don't accept NFC connectivity, you have to go back to that magnetic connection. That's where Samsung Pay really shines. And waterproofing, that's always going to be given. Wireless charging, that's always going to be given now. So to me, it's I call it the pound for pound best phone because it has everything you want. And we kind of know it's going to perform well in terms of performance, the camera quality. We haven't seen anything yet, but it's going to be up there. And just the design, like you look how thin it is, curved edges, like it's tough to beat.
Design-wise, nothing is going to come close to that, and it's going to take Samsung to top that, at least for the next couple of years. Just to put a caveat on what you said about Samsung Pay, I'm from the UK. Unless you're from the US or Korea,
yes,
it might as well not exist. And that's going to be a big point I want to bring up again about Bixby in a second as well. Unless you're from the US or Korea, Samsung Pay is dead in the water because it's not available. Now, it's been coming to the UK. I mean, I think there's a couple of other countries, but it's been coming to the UK where Apple Pay was launched in the UK, I think, 3rd or 2nd. And it's gone through like hundreds of millions. The reason I keep an iPhone on me right now is because not everywhere supports Android Pay, even if they take contactless payments. Not all the banks support it, but Apple Pay works pretty much flawlessly everywhere. Samsung Pay has been coming to the UK for nearly 2 years, and we're no closer to it.
Do you know what the reason they've given is? Because it sounds to me like all it needs is some kind of software activation.
Nobody... They haven't given a reason. They're just like, it's coming, it's launching, and they keep launching. Launching thing. Yet the banks could pretty much support it very quickly because it uses the same back-end software. Yeah. On this same note, just something that seems to be kind of brushed over for most people is Bixby. The voice feature, only launching in Korea first, launching in the US, I think, in May, and then Europe in the later part of the year. So you might end up buying an S8, FYI, and this might be why Assistant's actually on there, and not actually get Bixby voice for about 6 to 12 months. Because imagine if you're in developing markets, it's going to take you a long time. Guys, if you're in India, good. It'll be and I say India because I know the market. I used to work for an Indian website. It'll be a while before it's available there, because I reckon they're going to have to do a lot of work around trying to manage those accents. And we've seen that Samsung is great at rolling out features, and I love it. But from personal experience, they're not that great at actually rolling them out to all the markets where, the US and Korea are amazing, but you got 95% of the rest of the world to cover.
So my question there is, like, do you think that, like, the Smart Assistant and the voice features, like, is Samsung really in a position, like, from a technology standpoint? Because Google has been doing voice processing for a really long time. Apple has been doing voice processing for a really long time. Like, does the kind of positioning of Bixby allow them to kind of get into that even as a latecomer?
Gradual.
I have a question. Are they using whatever they've learned or gleaned from S-Voice in Bixby?
Probably not.
Partially,
that thing
partially, a lot of it's going to be. I forget the name, and Chris, you probably know this. The company they bought,
Viv.
Viv.
Right.
There you go.
Nice.
90. I reckon 95% of that is Viv. To answer your question, even if anyone has a chance, it's them.
Yeah.
But they've got the pockets to put it into it. Bixby is going to show us. Basically, Bixby is going to be the point where we all realize whether a Samsung-owned voice assistant can be useful, and it's going to be purely down to, like, they've put a target on their backs by announcing Bixby, going into the voice features, and then in asterisks going, it's going to launch in these markets and things. And don't get me wrong, that means I'm probably going to have a US one because I'm here for a while. That'll be good for me. But they put a target on their back because if it slips in any way, then Bixby will basically become useless. Everyone's going to buy it expecting all these voice features, because I don't know how well it's going to be announced that it's not. If you're buying it in the developing market, are you really going to be told it doesn't have the voice? Or is it going to be something that you slide under and you go, oh, well, it'll come soon or something like that? And if it takes, the longer it takes, the less likely it is that a Samsung branded feature will ever take off like that.
Right. All right. Well, we're coming up on a pretty solid one. We're over the hour at this point. But, so first of all, well,
I will not say another word.
Thanks.
Well, first of all, I want to give you guys our deepest thanks, not only for having us here, but for being on. I've been wanting to get you on for a long time, and to have the two of you here as well is just a wonderful bonus.
Wait. So you wanted to have V on for a long time. Me just like
Yeah,
and
you
then
should.
Evan only just joined because he
Yo.
I will reiterate that I asked him to ask you 3 weeks ago.
What the hell? Are you that jealous of me?
Undeniably.
So I will. Since we spent a solid hour plus talking about this one device, I want to end our podcast with one simple question. It may not be that simple, actually. What are you looking forward to next? Now that we've gotten every flagship, aside from, say, the Note or anything like that, what are you looking forward to next?
I'll start since I started talking first. So I'm very obviously fascinated to see how Apple kind of responds to all of this with the 10th anniversary iPhone. But looking past that, what I'm really looking forward to seeing is how the Pixel 2 shapes up, right? Because
stole my answers right out my mouth.
I mean, you gotta be faster on the draw. I think John's absolutely right. I think the Galaxy S8 and the S8 Plus are pound for pound the best Android smartphones out there. There's an argument to be made that they're probably the best smartphones out there, period. But Google got so much right with the Pixel. I'm having a hard time trying to wrap my head around what they could do to make it more palatable to people. And that's, for a company like Google to not have a great answer to that, I think is very telling. And I really need to see how they answer it.
I would like to jump in before anyone else steals another answer.
I wanted to keep the Velasco train rolling.
No, it's okay. You got Velasco Low. I need to what? I need to rep my people a little bit. I think in addition to the two that V's mentioned, I'm looking forward to possibly, potentially the OnePlus 4. I mean, I'm a person, that is into affordable phones, that I've kind of carved that niche out for myself a little bit. And the OnePlus is by far the best affordable phone out there, or sub 500, right? I mean, obviously we can wait for ZTE and the BlackBerry, whatever, to come out and to get our hands really to test it. But OnePlus leads the pack, and I want to see how they answer all of this stuff that's been going on.
John?
I want to see a Note
lint on your mic.
Oh, sorry.
Still, I could not see that.
A Note 8 with a flexible display. That's kind of out there, but
displays.
But the other one, what's HTC going to do next?
That was my question. I need it.
They're
dead.
What makes you think? Well, do we have? Is there? I just don't know this. Are they like done with the 1 line, or the 10 line, or are we done with that?
So they obviously have never said if they're going to do an HTC 11, for example, but there's quite a few rumors going around that there is going to be the Ocean, the sort of follow-up to the U Ultra with that sort of pressure-sensitive side, which seems fascinating, but to me, the U Ultra is the perfect example of a phone that's gotten its lunch eaten by just about everybody. With Bixby now too, like you see shades of how HTC's approach to AI was like, hey, yeah, like we'll understand your life, we'll look at your calendar, we'll give you suggestions. All of that is being executed in Bixby in a manner that will be available at launch in a way that seems infinitely more elegant. Like you didn't need a second screen for it. It's just there baked into a home screen panel that you might be looking at anyway. And just by giving you that extra value, Bixby feels more complete. The S8 feels more complete. And I don't really see how HTC bounces back from this.
I think I'm in the same boat with you guys. I mean, if you were going to say HTC as well, because I honestly, when I look back on 2016, I think I had the most fun with the HTC 10. To be honest,
it's just a very, very good phone.
Yeah, it was perfectly sized. Its audio was off the chain.
It was too late.
The Gondhia Galaxy is coming in a little bit. We had this conversation last year also. Like I was all about the HTC 10, and you were S7 at the time, right? Yeah.
Every HTC product, M9 aside, the 10 was a really good phone.
Yeah.
It was just a year late.
G6.
Well, yeah,
Ooh.
G6. G6.
Yo.
Yeah, no. G6. Yeah, it's probably a year late. But actually, it can stack up to what's available right now.
Yes.
Whereas the HTC 10 couldn't. There was something about it that was like, it didn't.
I don't believe
At least in
this.
my opinion. But that's, it's very subjective. And that's going to be, everyone's answers are all going to be super subjective. Like, what are you looking forward to next? Who knows what's coming down the pipeline? I will say I'm looking forward to what Apple and Samsung do. because Apple have to respond, and they're going to respond big. Samsung, they're going to do something with the Note 8. I want to ask everyone a question. I know you wanted to end. I just wanted to ask this question because I was hoping. I was hoping we would ask this question. Yeah. I was hoping this was going to be the last question you ended with. Of all the phones we've seen now, we know the flagships that are here. We've got the P10, we've got the P10 Plus, we've got the Key One, we've got the G6, we've got the S8, we've got the S8 Plus, and yeah, you might want to buy a Moto G5 Plus for some bizarre reason. What phone is everyone going to buy?
HTC 10.
What?
I'm kidding there.
I know.
God, that's a really hard one to answer because realistically, when's the last time you guys bought a phone?
Stop it. I know.
Hypothetically, if we were like, normal people.
Yeah, exactly.
Actually, the last phone I actually bought because I liked it so much was I want to say the S6 Active. Yeah,
that wasn't bad.
I loved that phone.
That was a really good phone.
Yeah.
The S7 Active wasn't bad either.
I just didn't,
I destroyed that thing kind of bad. But I've been tied into iOS for so long now, it's hard to just go Android.
Yeah, clearly.
But this may be the year. I mean, the
selfie cam. Selfie lights. This is literally what it's for.
I have all the selfies you took with that light, Vergara, so don't.
You made me.
I did not. You were very happy to take those photos. You were like, oh, look
no. Don't
even
even try.
Sorry.
I was wearing a hat.
I have selfies of all of you. But anyway, I think this is the year I switch over to Android, and I think that it will either be the S8 or potentially the Pixel.
I would have thought for sure you were going to say the P10.
Well, because it's not going to be available in the US, I can't say the P10. Also, I have...
You can still buy it.
I have doubts about its performance. I have doubts. I don't know...
What's wrong with HSP Plus?
You don't know how much I Snapchat.
Oh,
it has the bands. It has the bands, and it has CDMA support. Just saying.
They did tell me yesterday when we were at that event, and they were like, just slip your T-Mobile card in it will work. I'm like, well, yeah, but no.
Who at Huawei sounds like that?
It will. Okay, it will actually work, and I know because it's the core processor is basically the same as the Mate 9, so it has all the antenna, the radios and stuff. But I understand what you mean. There's something very different about it's when I bought the Note 5 into Europe, and it wasn't available. Exact same thing. It might support everything, but it's not gonna be 100%. And if you're gonna buy something, it needs to be.
Yeah, it's not optimized. Yes.
Okay, someone else should answer.
Yeah, go for it.
I mean, it honestly would be an HTC because one of the things that it would be. No, I mean one of the things we were talking about design earlier, before
we've known anything about the next phone, you want to say HTC?
Well, what we have right now from HTC is the U Ultra, right?
Well, hold on. Let me finish this point. Essentially,
okay,
the Samsung is taking this in a direction where the glass is getting much thinner. It's getting to be a much higher design phone, and I really loved my S7 until I dropped it on the ground literally one time and it just exploded. And I've had basically every HTC phone. You can drop them, and I mean the Ultra probably not, but that's a use case and a design feature that I actually definitely do look for, and it's maybe 1 + 4 because it's not a double glass phone.
Okay. Did you have one in mind?
What phone would I buy? Well,
what we got now.
If you bought phones.
Okay. Well, I know what I bought last time, and
which was
an iPhone 7. I mean, iPhone SE. SE. There's a reason behind that because up for renewal, contract's up, and rather than just let it, because I'm going to keep on paying for the service, might as well just get a discount on the phone. So I didn't want to buy something really expensive. So I'm like, what's equivalent to an iPhone 6s SE? There you go. It gets the job done. So
that's fair.
But S8 maybe I don't know. It's
that's conviction right there.
That's actually.
If you're pulling my leg.
If we're actually bye-bye, that's the.
Oh man, I've had my answer since the beginning.
Me
of this
too, and I'm curious to hear what yours is.
You got yours?
Go for it.
I wonder if we're the same.
1, 2, 3.
Key one. That's my boy.
3310.
Key
No.
one, hands down.
I will say, the minute I saw the key one, I was like, beep yes.
Shit,
'Cause-
yes.
Doesn't matter. Beep yes. Because that thing looks bloody good. That being said,
This is the
if
phone
I had to
wanted.
recommend a phone for people to buy right now, and this is friends and family, or, you know, heaven forbid, put my own money down for whatever is bizarre reason. No, but if I had to recommend a phone for people to buy, it would come down to one simple thing. If they truly they want something that's the absolute best camera you can get, I'd say go G6. Only because of the sheer amount that you can do with it, okay? If it's anything else that matters to them, I'd say go S8 right now.
All right. But the thing, okay, so talking about the Q1, it is the phone I dreamt of when I got into smartphones.
You two are such nerds.
To
Nerds.
have that full keyboard with a full OS touchscreen interface as well. To have the best of both worlds in one device. And you know what? I'm sure the camera's not going to be that great. But if you look across the table, I already bring cameras with me everywhere. I'm fine. I don't need to. I don't need my phone to have an amazing camera anymore.
But you're such a vlogger, and you claim the G6 is great for you guys because of its video thing. Will the Q1 be your primary phone?
Well, you've seen me vlog with my LX10.
G6.
You saw me vlog with the LX10.
Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something about vlogging, okay? When you've got your camera in your Joby Pod in one hand, in one hand, keyboard for one-handed texting, maybe that's not so bad.
Wait. Can you repeat that last?
Yeah. You got your Joby Gorilla Pod with your camera on it while you're vlogging. In your other hand, you got to type. What's better for typing with one hand than a physical keyboard?
Man,
I
not
don't know.
that physical keyboard though.
Swiping, man.
Yeah, not
Swift key.
Swift key, yeah.
Oh.
Well,
No. Voice dictation.
Whoa!
but
I'm
now
going to
we're
go
like,
with Swift key to the point where I can type as fast without looking at my phone. And I've sent entire emails that were once you train Swift key and it knows you, I can swipe using the flow with entire emails without looking at them whilst I'm driving and send messages and stuff like that. Not that I'd ever do that, guys.
You just said it. No,
But
you just come up.
you can do all of that.
Record.
And I can do it a lot faster than I used to be able to when you're typing. Because with SwiftKey, you are just swiping over a
yeah.
bunch of letters. And the one thing I said about the Key 1 is, and this is probably the only thing that would stop me going, this is the phone. Like for my dad, the Key 1 would be perfect because he loves physical keys. For me, it comes down to I am so used to swiping, and it's become such a thing that the first thing I installed on the iPhone was SwiftKey. When I can't use SwiftKey for whatever reason it's switched, it actually irritates me. And at the end of the day, if it's faster for me to do that, it's going to take a hell of a lot for a keyboard, a physical keyboard, to be able to replace just how quick it is and easy it is to be accurately swiping.
That's the same argument you can make for any of the things we just brought up. You can get used to a physical keyboard fast. You can get used to an on-screen keyboard with swipe fast. You can get used to voice dictation. I type with my voice on the road when I need to because I rather keep my eyes at cars.
You type with your voice?
Or like you.
T-H-E. Letter by letter? Or is it?
Did you go to school? No, you just press the microphone next to it and be like,
Yeah, I know.
Velasco, what's up?
What's Poppin' Slime?
No.
No. Well, that was a first for the podcast.
Hey.
I want to hear your Q1.
Yeah.
I want to hear your Q1 reason.
So my big problem in my life is that I'm completely unorganized. So I feel like if I could have a device that in some way was geared towards getting shit done the way BlackBerries historically have, that would put me in a very good place. Would it be my daily driver? Would it be my primary phone? Probably not, but it would be the device that I leaned on in a way that I really haven't been able to with a lot of other devices. And I feel like BlackBerry, the brand, has the cachet that kind of fits that well. But more importantly, I mean, maybe this is misguided of me, but I still trust these guys to do good stuff. I think TCL is an interesting company. I'm not completely sold on it. Like the D-Techs were fine.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking forward to seeing how the Key 1 actually plays out, but I don't know. Like I want these guys to succeed, and if throwing my money at them is what helps, then so be it.
All right, closing question for me and you, because we said key 1, right? This is what we're going to end on. Your top 3 keyboard shortcuts.
Well, I don't even know now because like
Yeah, because you can hold a letter to.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
U for Uber.
You use it that much?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Would you have a subway in New York?
H for hotel tonight.
That
I
is
feel
true.
like there's a theme.
That is true.
There's a theme to this.
Let's no.
All right,
This
and
is
God, that's a tough one. What is my go-to? In the old days, it would have been T for Tinder.
T for Tinder, not Twitter.
that's W.
Why-
That's W because it's the next letter.
But as I said, those were the old days. I think I would probably do like T for Trello. I need to see what everyone else
Trello,
is doing.
okay.
Yeah,
Oh
yeah.
man.
T is today calendar for me.
Sorry.
Well, S and see S wouldn't be Slack. S would be Syrup, and that's the motorized panning head that I have. And then, oh my God, I had another one. I'm trying to remember what it was. Oh, I'm just gonna put a dumb one out there. M for Mario Run. I'm just gonna go and put that one. So yeah.
F for Fire Emblem Heroes.
I couldn't really finish that game. But anyway, yeah. I mean, that was basically. We're now at 118, though I didn't hit record on that right away, so it's probably more like 125 with all things put together. All right. Well, thank you guys so much for being on the Android Authority podcast. This is gonna be weird. It's been a while since I've done an outro from somebody new. So, okay. I mean, I guess you guys are in for a treat. Okay, I don't know. I'm not going to toot my own horn. Anyway, thank you so much for listening to the Android Authority podcast, discussing topics in Android every single week. We have 3 illustrious members of Engadget here with us, and you can find all of their social media and their, first of all, I should say names and social media down in the show notes and at androidauthority.com/podcast if you're listening to us there. Don't forget to subscribe not only to Android Authority across all of our podcasts and our different websites, but also head on over to Engadget and see what they got going on as well. Chris Velazco's been in front of video more often than I feel like you have been. Like this past year, you've been on video so much.
You think?
Yeah, like you've really stepped up like your face game before.
It's not by choice.
Stepping up your face game.
Yeah.
They needed some Porsche mic on camera.
But I also want to thank the 2 next to me. I don't want to leave you guys out because you felt left out earlier. You made me feel bad, Cherlynn.
I didn't feel left out, I guess.
You guess. All right, well, there you go. But yes, head on over to Engadget to see some great news about all kinds of tech. And then, of course, go to androidauthority.com for all the best news in Android. We also have a bunch of other websites. I am going to take the time to name them out right now. Tab Times, VR Source, Charge.io, and Sound Guys. Sound Guys, to those of you who listen to the podcast, Adam Molina was here, but we were not able to get him on the podcast for today. But, of course, it's always a good time when we see Adam in general, really. We love that guy. Shout out to our podcast team back home. We're going to have our regular episode next week. And I think that should pretty much do it for this special episode on the Samsung Galaxy SA. We did talk about a little bit more after that too, so hopefully you guys enjoyed all of that. Now, as the outro goes, we have a thing we all do together. And I think Velasco knows what this is.
I'm going to be part of this.
No, you're going to be a part of it.
Well, I know.
Keep it to Android Authority for more about the Samsung Galaxy S8 and for all of the other flagships that you're going to see this year, any ones that we had back at MWC, CES, and anything we're going to see in the coming weeks, including the S8. Now, remember to keep it tuned here. Subscribe to the channel, our YouTube channel if you haven't already, and subscribe to the podcast because we are your source for all things Android.
Black
Oh,
Brain.
man.
Keep it slimy.
For all things slime.
Only you would critique.
Yeah, if we can. I hope
Just
that picked up.
put the mic in front of Cherlynn's face for a second.
Why?
Say that again.
Android?
No, you got to do it the same way. Harmonize.
Android.
Android!
Sweet. No.
Nope.